Hey guys, welcome back to Werner Farms. So this is going to be the end of the year Q&A or question and answer video for 2018. I know I did one earlier this year around, oh, before spring I think. I'm going to be trying to do, or next year I'm going to try and do like 4 of these. Probably one after spring, one after summer, one after fall, and another end of the year one. That way I can get all your questions answered throughout the year, and I'll probably be doing live streams, I will be doing live streams next year, which I will be answering that in a little while because that was one of the questions asked, and that way I can answer all your questions basically throughout the year and make sure nobody has any questions really. So I'll go ahead and start the questions. How many tractors do you guys have? Currently, since the 9400T is still technically here, even though it is sold, it's 12, and that's including all of the 2 cylinders over at the other shed as well that are parked here, and actually the one that's sitting in the corner, which you guys know is the unstyled, the unstyled A. Moving on, how old are you? I am 18 soon, and I mean very soon, to be 19, and this video is on December 29th. 29th, yes, so very soon, going to be 19. Let me go back up to the top here. What kind of air compressor do you guys have? Now, if you're referring to our shop, I do not remember offhand what that air compressor is, and I'm not going to take the time to run up there and take a look right now. But the air compressor that we use to blow off all of our equipment, that is a Jaeger or Jaeger, however you want to call it, Detroit 1950s air compressor. We have a 1-inch piece of tubing or pipe on the end of that hose, and it will blow a blue streak or blue vapor out of the end of that hose. And it will burn or definitely really hurt your skin if you stick your hand in front of that. So we use welding gloves or thick leather goatskin gloves or leather gloves when using that, basically just our regular work gloves. So when using it, I mentioned earlier, if you watch my Snapchat, it only takes us about an hour to blow off the combine, even less if there's not much on it. We try and blow most of the equipment off, or try and get all the equipment blown off before we wash it, because it's 10 times easier and it saves a few hours when washing to have it all blown off. That way you don't have mud spraying everywhere, and that way you get all the dirt blown off, and any chaff or debris that's built up on the combine, you can get that blown off pretty quick. So that's the air compressor we run. What size heads are you going to run on the S690? Obviously, we know for a fact it's going to be a 12 row because we're not going to run the 893 on the S690 because, for one, that would look really stupid, especially on YouTube. And that is too small of a head for that S690 to handle. So I know a 12 row is basically like an 8 row on an S690, but we are not going to run a 16 row, only for the fact that a neighbor ran a 16 row and was not very happy with it because he was not able to, one, get the combine empty fast enough, and 2, when opening up the fields, he basically didn't have a lot of places to go because of the field sizes he had, which are basically similar to ours, if not a little bit bigger. And when opening up the fields, the combine just got so full, he wasn't able to have an area opened up enough to even dump on the grain cart. So that's why we don't really want to run a 16 row. Now, if we had the trucks, if we had the grain carts, if we ran 2 grain carts, if we had the acres, and we had, like, say, 8 semis or whatever, well, not even 8 semis, that would be way too many for just one combine, but say like 5 semis, 2 grain carts, and 1 combine, I mean, or, yeah, 2 grain carts, that would be something we would consider, but do I see that in any near future? No. Do I even see that in the long run? Not really, no. So, moving on, I don't know why my phone does this. What is your dream tractor? I would like to get the 1964 4020 that's over on 421 that a neighbor owns. That is actually my grandpa's 4020. I believe it does not have the John Deere cab on it. I believe it's the New Idea cabs, I think they were called, on the 4020. So it does have the aftermarket cab on it. It is a power shift. No idea on the hours on it. That was actually the first tractor my dad learned how to drive, so 2 reasons why I want to get that tractor. So I guess you could say that is my dream old tractor. As far as a new piece of equipment goes, I would like an 8400R. That would be awesome to have. I figure something like that would cover all of our bases as far as ever needing something as big as a 4-wheel drive, which I don't think we would ever need. But as far as grain cart or vertical tillage wise, if we ever went to a bigger vertical tillage tool or a bigger grain cart, we would need a little bit more horsepower, I feel. If, say, we go to a larger grain cart than what I would think we would like to go to, then the 8530 would not have enough power. But we could ship the 8530, but I have no idea how much more power we could add to that 8530, so that's something I could look into also. So, are you keeping the old combine? If you're referring to the 9650, no. We are not going to keep that combine. As many of you guys want us to run 2 combines, we are not going to keep that old combine because running 2 combines or running that combine in conjunction with the S690 is not very feasible or really economical, considering the size of heads you can run on an S690. It would just be better to have the ability to use a grain cart with the S690 and just run 1 combine instead of running 2 combines without the grain cart, because the original intent was to actually buy or consider a 9870, which I know a few of you guys know. That's why we were at the auction down at Mallory to look at that 9870, and the more we looked at it, the more we didn't like it, just because of the condition that it was in. So we thought by running a 9870 in conjunction with the 9650, that would be something we would consider, but later in a question I will answer why we got the S690, but we ended up getting the S690 because that was another idea we had, to just run 1 big combine and get rid of the 9650 and just run 1. Now, there's nothing wrong with the 9650. We were actually planning on running it another year, so that's why we were more considering a 9870, and later, while we had the 9870, update that 9650 to a 9770 maybe, so to run 2, and then just later on update or trade both of those in and go to 1, but that's when, you know, we came across this S690 and got an extremely good deal on it. So, how does the front suspension on your 8530 feel, work, and do you like it? As far as I know, I believe it is the ILS suspension, if I'm correct. I haven't really looked into the mechanical side of how that front end works. I'll have to look into that a little bit more. I never really looked into exactly how that suspension works. How does it feel, or how do I like it? It's probably one of the smoothest riding tractors I've ever been in. Now, granted, you know, a lot of you guys are going to say, well, the newer the newer R series are going to be have a lot smoother of a ride, which I just saw in the magazine 4 months ago the new 8RT tractors have new in-cab suspension there, or new cab suspension to reduce cab vibration and everything. So, you know, I can't say our tractor is the smoothest riding tractor that's out there, but to date, that is the smoothest riding tractor I've ever driven. How many acres do you own? Now, that is going to be anywhere from 400 to 500, well, 450 to 550. I sat down the other day and figured up total acres, and I don't remember the number offhand, but it's anywhere from 450 to 550. That's the closest I can get it without sitting down and figuring it. What tractors do you run? Model-wise, the loader is a 4430 with a 265 loader, quick attach loader. I believe it is self-leveling. The sprayer is a 4230 tractor that has a high crop kit on it that Dad custom built with 60-foot top air booms with 800-gallon capacity on it, with the 2 front aluminum saddle tanks are 300-gallon each, and the rear is, no, the 2 front aluminum saddle tanks are 250-gallon, and the rear tank on the 3-point, the poly tank, is 300-gallon. The Pliner tractor that we currently use is the 1983 4650. The 4630 is a 1974 or 76. Hours on tractors, as far as I know, I haven't sat down and looked at the hours, so if you're wondering hours, maybe I'll do a video on that early in January. We do still have the 9400T, as I said earlier. It is sold, so technically it's not ours anymore, but we did run that 9400T, that is a 2000. We run the 8530 now, 2008, love it. The 9650 is no longer ours, and well, technically it still is ours, but we haven't done anything with it. And then the 2012 S690, which that 9650 is a 2001. Why an S690? So, originally, Dad always said, "Why do we need a power fold? You know, I really don't want to mess with a power fold or have to have a power fold." And while we were down there, I showed him the S6 or the two. Yeah, there was 2 S680s down there. No, 3 S680s down there. 2 2012s and a 15. And the 15 obviously had DEF because I believe in 14 they started adding DEF to the S series. And I showed him because the 2 2012 S680s both had the John Deere Whopper 32-inch grain tanks on them, and I wanted to show him this is what we would be dealing with every time we moved from field to field, and you would have to literally fold that grain tank down every single time we moved from field to field due to the tree branches and the electric lines and everything that we have around our fields. So he immediately realized a power fold would be something we should definitely consider unless we find an S-Series with a short 18-inch Mauer grain bin extension like what we run on the 9650, which there's a few out there, but not many of them. It's mostly power folds now, I've found. And obviously we weren't going to look at the 2015 S680. I believe in the auction video I show how much that goes for. Which I feel that was a pretty solid price for that S680 based on the hours and the tires, and considering it does have DEF, which isn't really wanted because I've heard some guys say that you could burn 25 gallons of DEF every day, which, you know, I don't know nothing about utilization on combines, so don't like jump down my throat on that if I'm wrong. I just heard some guys mention that, so I don't know if that number is blown out of proportion or if that's true or not. So if you know, comment down below. And that's when we saw this S690, and originally in the video, if you guys watch that auction video, which I do recommend watching, I did say that we weren't a big fan of the Goodyears, and that's just personal preference. We prefer Firestones. Unless we could find a good deal on Michelin's, then we would go Michelin's, but we're not a big fan of Goodyears just because of the tire quality on Goodyears that we've had luck with, so that's why we run Firestones for the most part, unless we find a good deal on Michelin's, which we did on the sprayers, so that's why we run, I believe those are Michelin's on the back of the 4230, which, by the way, the ride quality on those Michelin tires and the sprayer, absolutely awesome. So that's why we started looking at the S690, because it did have a power fold, and we figured if it went for a really good price that we would get it. And for the hours it had and the condition it was overall in, it was definitely a good deal overall that we got it for. Well below anything on a dealer or advertised on Tractor House, so we were very happy with that. And I just found out yesterday, because we had our dealer run the serial number to see if they had all the pips or product improvement. I can't think of the last part of that, which it does need a pip done to it. But I did find out, or we did find out yesterday, where that combine did come from. Came out of Sikeston, Missouri. So funny thing on that, if you watch my 4230, most unique 4230 video talking about the sprayer, you can find out why Sikeston, Missouri is kind of funny in that aspect of where it came from. So, but that's overall why we got the S690. 1, the powerful, 2, price, and 3, overall condition and quality it was in. Would you ever consider running 2 combines? Now, I kind of mentioned this earlier. Right now, no, there's no reason to run 2 combines. 1 with the S690, because of the size of heads you can run with the S690. It would just be more efficient to run larger heads than what we have and run grain cart with it instead of running 2 combines. Now, like I said, if we got, say, an S680 or 9870, then we would probably be keeping the 96. Well, if we got a 9870, the 9650 would still be here, or we would still be keeping it, I should say, because we haven't done anything with it as far as trading or selling. But if we got an S680, more than likely, we probably would have kept the 9650, possibly, depending on what for sure Dad would have done, but I'm pretty sure we would have still kept the 9650. But with the S690, since of how much power it has and how much more larger heads it can handle, then we figured it'd be in our best interest economically and for efficiency purposes to get rid of the 9650. So, but in the future, do I see us running 2 combines? Maybe. I mean, depends on, what we have acre-wise in the future. Based on acres and everything, and efficiency purposes, and basically just all revolves around acres. In order to have more trucks, obviously a bigger grain cart, or even 2. It all depends on acres, really. If you only have 1,000 acres, depending on your operation, you could run 2 small combines and still get a good job done, efficiency-wise, or you could run 1 larger combine. It's all based on your operation, how you see efficiency. To us, running just the S690, that's pretty well efficient for us. What is your favorite crop to grow and harvest? Corn, hands down. Love growing corn. We've definitely expanded our knowledge overall on corn. Basically, everybody knows late season nitrogen now, but in-season fertility-wise with the fertigation that we do, the soil testing we do, the fertilizer mixes and blends that we do and use, and the rates that we do and everything, residue management. Overall, I just love dealing with corn. Beans are kind of that crop that, everybody kind of says, you kind of have to have, just for rotation purposes, or after like say 3-5 years of corn, you could have beans out there and see 80 bushel beans, I mean, that's just a given to have that bean rotation, but we always go, for the most part, corn and beans, rotation-wise though, from year to year. Sometimes we do corn, and then beans, or, it just all depends based on the field and rotation-wise. Likes and dislikes on the 8530. Big fan of the improved cab over the 9400T. Big fan of the row crop duals over the 36 or 30-inch tracks. Anything else? Big fan of the 50-inch tires. Just overall, I love the 8530. Few dislikes. Not so much on the 8530, but wish it had. I wish it had the R-Series styled or early R-Series styled cabs. I'm not so much of a big fan on having so much tech in the cab due to software faults and etc. But having a little bit more of an R-Series styled, early R-Series styled cab, I think that would be really nice in that tractor. But, I don't really have too many dislikes on it because I haven't really found much I don't like about it yet. I guess probably one thing I don't like about it is cleaning the back window. That was a little bit interesting this year. I never really cleaned it much except the one time, and I did have a little bit of an accident with that, but if you really want to know, you can personal message me and I can tell you what happened. But so like on Instagram or Snapchat. But besides the fact, cleaning the windows, that's probably my major dislike on it, I guess you can say, because the 9400T you can easily get around for the most part and clean most of the windows. With the 8530, it's a little bit harder. Just because of the layout on it, especially with the, that back window, and the right side window isn't very accessible as it is on the 9400T. But, comes time where, I don't know, you just pull it around, get the pressure washer out, and just clean the windows off. It's no big deal. So, next question, if I can find it here, since my phone keeps shutting off. Why did you get a new combine at the end of harvest? We weren't planning on doing anything with a combine until we ended up picking up some acres as far as custom harvest goes. So as we realized that our one combine, or just running the one combine that we have now, we discussed running two or running just the one big one. We realized eventually, our 9650 is only going to be able to run so much longer for our operation. So we weren't really planning on doing anything till after harvest, when we realized we should probably be looking at doing something. So that's why we ended up doing that. Will you be upgrading the 4650 anytime soon? Anytime soon, meaning within 5 years? No. I mean, mechanically, the 4650 is, structurally and mechanically sound. I mean, there's not much wrong with it at all. I guess Dad, since he's the one who plants all the corn with the 4650, he has, I guess, noticed a little bit of hydraulic issue with it, just slightly, or I guess you could say hydraulic pressure issue starting to occur on it slowly. So eventually we'll have to look at that a little bit closer as time goes on. Do I see us doing something within 10 years? Probably within 10 years, maybe, with the 4650. As far as a replacement goes for that, somewhere around the mid 300 horsepower range to replace that. I could see us running mostly mid-range 300 horsepower tractors, just based on the equipment I see us running in the future overall. As far as tillage goes, you know, most of us, or most of our acres are no-till, except with, you know, the incorporation of the vertical tillage, which you can argue yes or no, that's considered no-till, even though you're not disturbing the soil to an extreme as what conventional tillage is. You know, you're mostly just, the vertical tillage, what we're mostly looking at that as is sizing the residue. We're not trying to disturb the topsoil or organic matter at all. We're just trying to size that residue to speed up the process of the decomposition of the residue. So, but that's why I kind of see us, or what I see us doing with the 4650 in the future. What is your favorite job on the farm? Anything to do with running a tractor. If you upgrade sprayers, what would you like to upgrade to? This was one of the big things this year that I was actually hoping we would do, but we ended up doing something with a combine. I don't think we would have done anything with a sprayer even this year, especially with buying the 8530. So, but as far as the sprayer goes, I would, you know, I even discussed this in the last auction, or in one of the previous videos in the auction video, so if you want to go check that out, you can. That I would like to go to a 4830, ideally. What I would really like to go to is an R4038 with 90 or 100 foot booms. I would really like to do that, but do I see us spending $250,000 on a sprayer? No. So that's why I considered the 4830s a good choice for our operation. I would like to, which I did, find one with the tall corn kit on it. That way we could utilize Y drops or late season nitrogen applications, or depending on what we find here in the next couple of years, because I would like to do some more side-by-sides on this, on fungicides, because we don't really utilize fungicide applications on our corn or beans, just because we don't really see the yield benefit of it. But I think as time goes on here, we're seeing a little bit more of an issue in our beans also with frog-eye leaf spot. We're starting to see that a little bit more come out of the south, from central and southern Indiana, come up a little bit north into the northern part of Indiana here. So as time goes on, I feel fungicide applications on the beans are definitely going to make a significant yield impact. On corn, with tar spot, etc. And I've heard of red root rot also. If you guys haven't heard that, you should Google that or look that up. Definitely something you guys should be looking at also. Just from our agronomic pioneer training meetings, we've heard a few issues with that, and also talking with our soil agronomist, he's from Illinois, he's seen that a little bit over in Illinois as well. But as far as fungicide applications go on the corn, I feel that's going to be a huge yield impact as well, considering what tar spot did throughout the nation this year. As far as combating tar spot, fungicide applications I've heard, and we've actually seen it maybe a little bit on our corn, because we actually had 30 acres sprayed out of a 40-acre square field that we have a pivot on and do fertigation applications on. We actually did see, I feel, a little bit better combat against tar spot. Now, did it contribute to any yield impact? No. As far as with the fungicide, if it did or it didn't, no. But did I feel that tar spot did impact not only us but everybody across the nation yield-wise? Yes, I definitely can say that it did impact yield. No matter what corn you planted or where you were, I guarantee you, if your corn died early, or if you saw your corn seem to turn early or mature early, I'm pretty sure that was due to tar spot. So I don't know, it'll be interesting to see in the future. So